All right, guys, today I'm going to talk to you about how to draw a contour line drawing. A contour line drawing is a line drawing that goes around the outer edges of the object that you're trying to draw. And if you really pay close attention to those lines that you're trying to draw, you will end up with a drawing that looks very realistic. This one was made by a fourth grader of an unwrapped Tootsie Roll and a little package of candy. And I'm going to talk to you today about how we went about doing it. So the first thing we did was we set up what's called a still life. A still life is a group of objects that sit really still. So for this still life, we had 2 pieces of candy. We first had to figure out what was going to make an interesting composition or arrangement for a still life, something that would be interesting to draw and to look at when the drawing was finished. So setting up a still life like this isn't very interesting, but even just turning the objects a little bit or opening the box of candy and leaning it or having some of the candy spill out instantly makes a more dynamic or interesting composition. So make sure you take a couple of minutes to arrange your still life. And once you've got that arranged, then you're ready to draw. Make sure whatever you're drawing, like for me, my candy still life, is very close to the surface that I'm drawing on. So this will be that paper that I'm going to draw on. I'm going to start with this candy chews first. So what I like to do when I'm drawing something with a contour line, let me get my still life back in order, is I like to synchronize my hand that doesn't know how to draw with my hand that does. And by synchronize, I mean both hands are always doing the same thing. And what I will do is I'm going to use my finger to outline my piece of candy. And notice that as I'm doing that, my finger of my right hand, my drawing hand, is mimicking or doing the exact same thing. Once you feel like you understand how to do that, you can go ahead and put your pencil to paper to start. So I'm going to start here so I can see what I'm tracing. The whole time I'm doing this, my eyes are really on my finger that's tracing the outer edges or the contour lines of the candy. I'm not looking at the hand that's holding the pencil because I'm trying to pay close attention to what it should be mimicking or copying. I'm pressing down really hard with my pencil so that you can see what I'm drawing, but when you draw, you might want to draw lightly. That way, it's not so much strain on your finger, and if you need to fix anything, then you can always go back and erase. So I'm trying to make my finger that's going around the edges of the candy be synchronized or matched up with the finger that's tracing. And I'm going at a slow speed so I can do my very best. It helps if you're really quiet when you do this so that your creative side of your brain can do a lot of concentrating. Wow, so that looks pretty accurate. And I use the element of art of line. Now I can go back and use texture to show that there are some wrinkles in some of the candy. I could also go back and use more line to show form. If I even curve that line a little bit, suddenly it looks like my candy is rounded. To give it even more form, I see that there's a shadow here, so I could do a little bit of shading, but my favorite thing to do is add a little bit of a shadow underneath. Suddenly, my object looks like it's actually sitting on a surface or a table. Doing something that has an organic shape like this, a wrinkled shape, a shape more like something we might find in nature, is a lot easier to do a contour line drawing than when you're doing something that's geometric. So I could use the same method of tracing, or I could draw the shapes that I see. And my candy, I'm going to actually tilt my candy box up a little bit to make it look more 3D. So I know that this is a rectangle, and I see that it's coming toward me, and I can even hold my pencil at a slant and know that it's slanted just like my pencil was slanted. And this slant, and now I'm going to make my lines match up. Looks like I'm going to bump into my other piece of candy a little bit. It looks like the lid of the box goes back into space. Oh, I think I have to fix something right here. Yep, I see my angle was incorrect. These lines always need to be parallel with each other. Parallel means they're going to do the same thing. I'm trying to show that the top of the box is going back into space. You could do the same method that I did earlier of tracing with my finger, or you could simply look at the line and see what the line is doing and try to mimic that with your pencil. Both ways work. You could just see what one works a little bit better for you. This box is behind the candy, so I'm trying to show that it is overlapping. I see a little peek of that other lid in there. Now I can go back and I see a shadow to show that this is also sitting on the table. But I don't want it to look like it's floating, so make sure your shadow goes all the way up to your piece of candy. And now comes the fun part. Now you can focus on the different designs that are on the box and the different colors you might want to use. This is just a sketch, so remember it can be quick and you should have a good time when you're doing it. You should have fun. All right, guys, I hope that little short contour line drawing helped you out a little bit.